Really? Are we live yet?
Yes, we are.
I haven't got a note here. All right. Whenever you're doing that, Van, are you just trying to get us on the Facebook, or are you trying to get us on the both? Yeah, in the future, if you can't get us, I want to go on to Facebook for sure. So in the future, if you got to, we'll just, it looks like we're freezing up though, are we? Do you believe it and do you trust it? I don't trust nothing. You know why? Because I'm a damn realist. I was talking to my wife last night, or somebody. I was talking to somebody, Stevie Z. It was Stevie Zavisa I was talking to. And I told him that I'm trying to move from a realist to a positive. He's like, man, you can't do that. I'm like, well, sure you can, because it's really about your belief and your faith, about convincing yourself that positive things are going to happen. Realists look at it from predicting the outcome. Positive people just believe it's going to work in their favor. Do you understand the difference? Are you a positive, a realist, or a negativist?
Positive.
You're a positive? Are you? Lorema?
Both.
You ain't both.
I guess I'm a realist.
Because if you're a positive person, it's about more the faith. Somehow this is going to work out, because for me to think positive about this, it don't make any sense. For a realist, it makes sense. I'm just going to tell you it ain't going to work, and let me tell you why. What are you, Andre? Good morning. Good Saturday morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We got some internet problems, but we're still doing it because we're committed.
I feel like I'm pretty positive.
Danny?
Positive.
You're positive. Noah?
I am a realist who is currently transitioning
There you
into
go.
a positive person.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get there. I struggle with it. Hey-ho.
I'm a positive person.
Are you really a positive person? If you're on here, do me a favor, like, comment, and share the stream. Saturday sales trading. Sales are made when no one is watching. And the reason why I know this is nobody was watching Andre last year. Were they? Nobody saw his sales he was making this year. But he was like Mr. T in Rocky 3. He was in that dungeon, working hard, nobody around. Lorema said realist. Do you like that? Are you satisfied with being a realist?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you why that ain't going to work for you. If you want a life full of things you don't deserve, it ain't realistic. Is it realistic to think, what are you, 30? Let's say you're 30. How can a realist look at their life and say, I've been doing this let's take me. How can I be at 48 years old and look back at everything I've accomplished in my life, looking back, and say my future is going to be 10 times better than this? How can a realist make sense of doing that?
Just by knowing what they have to do to get there.
I don't think a realist makes sense of it that way. I think a realist looks at what they've done, and they're probably thinking, this is what the rest of my life's going to look like, so let's just give up.
Realist says I can't. Positive living with your mom.
Can you?
Good.
A realist would say that's
Depends on what you're happy
impossible.
with.
Yeah, I think your dreams die. That big thing that you wanted, it becomes dead.
Yeah.
You've got to you got to shift your way of thinking. I'm positive. I'm lucky. All the things I did in the past don't mean anything about what's going to happen to me in the future, but a realist looks at it like collecting data. When I'm in my realistic thinking mode, I'm collecting data to predict the outcome. I'm a realist. How will this make sense? Does it make sense Tom Brady leaves the New England Patriots, goes to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they win the Super Bowl? Was that realistic?
No. It was not.
Not a bit.
Ever, though?
He's 40, he's 50 years old. I don't know how old he is. Let's say he's 50. What's shaking Zach Reigns? But think about that. Did it make sense at 44 years old, 43 years old, go to a new team and win the Super Bowl? Has it ever been done? A realist would look at it from this perspective. Has it been done? the 4-minute mile. You know, that old saying, like Roger Bannister finally hit that 4-minute mile, but he proved to other people that were probably realists. If it's never been done, a realist would say it'll never be done. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Would you?
I don't know. I struggle with it. I feel like realistically, I'm thinking the possibilities that could happen, even if they haven't been done.
Yeah, but you're realistically thinking. It's got to add up. It's got to make sense. It's pieces to a
I get what
puzzle.
you're saying. I get what you're saying.
That's how I've always been. Damn, we ain't going to be able to do this because of blah, blah, blah. But hey, man, what about the positive person? Somehow he just gets lucky.
Can you be a realist and be like, well, I know we can do this if we do this. You know, like we can get to this many deals if we do this, instead of you know, being negative. Be like, we can't
feel like
do this because of this.
It makes sense.
I think the realistic person is trying to protect the outcome.
The stuff that makes sense.
I think you can be a realist but be positive, because I feel like your definition of realist is negative. So like, well,
I think a realist is a little more negative, because a positive has to be above something. If you're not, to me, if you're only slightly past the neutral, if you're only slightly into the positive shade, at what point does it become positive?
whenever you're taking yourself to the better, saying, you know, I can, instead of I don't think it's possible.
When you think, if you're watching this, let me know, and we're going to get into today's sales training. Do you think that neutral is negative? Do you think realistic is negative? What do you think, Van?
I think it has a connotation of negative, yes.
What do you think, Feho?
I
Noah?
agree.
Danny?
Yeah.
Scotty?
I think it'd be both.
See, now we're making sense of it. But Weatherman, if we were going to go, we're going to go play Frisbee golf. Would Weatherman have a positive, okay, what is something you've never done before?
Water polo.
What?
Water polo. Let's say we're going to go to my house and play water basketball today, right after this. Would you say your team is going to win?
Yeah.
Would you? What would you really say?
No.
Why?
I've never played it before.
You're making sense of losing. You're a realist. What would Weatherman say?
Oh, we're
I don't give a shit who's on my team. I'm winning.
He never cares about that. Positive people don't care as much about the outcome as they do their beliefs. Realistic people want to be right. We're talking crazy. We're voodoo this morning. I apologize if you're wanting sales content. But everything begins with number one. How to get a sale before the sale is made. It's your attitude. Number one. Take notes, Feho. And here's what I would tell you to do this week. If I'm you, you ought to be talking more about this to your friends. Teresa, I don't settle, but I'm a realist. I'm mission oriented. I live a better life than I thought I would be living in 2009. I have goals. I have dreams. Life is better than 2009. Life is better than 2019. Life will be better in 2029. Okay, that's a long-term positive outlook. But to get positive outcomes in the future, I believe if you want a ridiculous life, what does a ridiculous life look like to you, Feho?
$100 million house.
$100 million house, okay.
Pay for it.
Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. So number one, how do you get your attitude right? We're talking about sales are made before. A sale is made when no one is watching. Do you know what I mean by that, first off? If you're paying attention, what do you think I'm talking about? We reward the sales when they happen. No, he gets a sale. I see that big white teeth. In a good mood. When you get that sale. Man, what does it feel like to get a sale?
Feels good.
Feels great.
Hell yeah.
But when do you think that sale was really earned?
In here role playing.
It was in here role playing. It was in here training. It was out there building networks. It was out there meeting more people. That's when it was really earned. That's when it's really worth it. It's that feeling when the ink or the buttons pushed, however we do the contracts nowadays, and it's accepted. That feeling is the fuel that should get you to keep doing this. And just know this, every time you're encountering somebody, anytime you're with them, that could be a future sale. I don't know how many times I've made an impression on somebody where that was a sale that was made when I didn't see it. Talked to them, they liked me, they called me back. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. That's going to happen to you guys. Unexpectedly, people are going to reach back out to you because you already made this sale and you weren't even watching. Has that happened to you before?
Yeah.
Has it happened to you, Feiho? Mm-hmm. Has it? Mm-hmm. Already? Has it happened to you? It's magic. What did you do to get that magic to go in your favor?
Hey, I did a video on Facebook one time. Got that call for.
That's something that we'll talk about. Was I interrupted, Van? Maybe it's my damn junky computer. Everything will begin with attitude. Like my breakfast this morning, I told y'all I went in there and their attitude, no matter what, they were convinced to not make that company money this morning. Their attitude convinced others to not spend more money. Have you ever been around like last night? We went out to eat. It was good. We went to Marina's and we got a calzone and it was good. And I really, really liked our server. And he was in a tough spot because they had a new cook back there in the calzones specifically were taking more time. But he had a great attitude. And then I started messing with him. And he didn't get defensive. He just joked back with me. His attitude, he stayed with me. I liked the guy. And at the end of the night, what do you think? Like the calzones took a little while. Calzones were great. But that tip, what do you think I'm thinking about whenever it's time to tip the guy?
Service.
I was thinking about how much money's left on my credit card. No. I was thinking about that guy. And I'm like, man, I'm going to make him feel the way he made me feel. So whatever the bill was, I just doubled it as the tip. And I feel like, I want to go back, and I told the lady up front, like he was really good. And it was really his attitude, his smile. Attitude alone will probably earn you more than you deserve. Your attitude towards others will earn you more than you deserve. Number 2, we're going to move a little bit more into the technical side of how to get more sales when no one is watching. It's your information. How many of you have a duplicatable sales process that you do every single day? Do you have one? Do you know, like when I say a sales process, where you are in engaging of a conversation, do you know what you do first? Do you always do it the same way every single time a lead comes in? Every single time, what is it?
Call the client and introduce myself and do a discovery call, gather information for the quote.
Okay.
And, set that expectation.
How do you know when you've got enough information?
I have a sheet that I go through
Where did you get that training from?
from Goosehead.
Okay. Well, what do we do first?
Introduce ourselves.
What do we call it?
Greeting.
Greeting.
Okay.
How long is our greeting? This is just information.
Quick, 30 seconds.
5 seconds.
See, a lot of people that have never been trained, they just sit there and they talk about things that are non-relevant. And you've got to understand the problem with doing that is I don't want to talk to you that long. You've got this window. These windows are important. You've got this tiny window to get my attention. And the longer it takes, the more unlikely I am to want to do it. Then what do you go into?
Reason/intention.
Fact find.
You fact find. You're doing an outgoing call.
Oh, yeah. Fact
What is our process, though?
Yeah. Greeting,
You-
fact find.
What are we trying to establish? What are we wanting to know?
Dominant buying.
Their dominant buying motive. What problem are they really trying to solve, and why is that? And because people are sold so often, they have sales skepticism. And you can't just ask them, hey, are you looking to buy a house? They come in, a lot of our leads are cold. Even if it's somebody that we've met, we've got to somehow ask them a question to where they don't feel like they're being sold. We're just trying to ask a question to where they'll answer without being guarded up, being locked up, because they'll try to trick us. They'll try to run from us. They'll try to avoid that. What is one of your favorite questions to ask somebody, Feiho?
If you were to consider buying a house this year, would you buy something bigger or smaller than what you currently live in?
And that just probably doesn't make sense when you're thinking logically, but when you're speaking with somebody, I wasn't thinking you're going to ask me that.
Damn good icebreaker.
It's a good icebreaker that leads somewhere else, something bigger.
Why?
Why? Now I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you why I'm motivated to want to do this. Then we go into the rest of our sales process, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. We greet, we fact find, qualify, demonstrate.
Close.
No. Trial, close.
Trial, close. Then
Close, then it's follow up. Trial, close. Which one is the most important?
Close.
Close. I was just going to see if I could trick anybody. But I don't want you to close somebody unless you're pretty certain they're ready, which is a trial close. Scott, a trial close is asking somebody a question. A close is asking somebody for a decision. Do you understand the difference? So if you ask somebody a question about it and it sounds like they want to do it, the close becomes a lot easier. Took all the work out of it. Number 3, here's where, like, if you work by yourself and you're in an office by yourself, this is where you really begin to underperform people that have other people around them. Every single day, number 3, we drill, we rehearse. How do we do that?
Role play.
Let's ask Lorema. How do we do that?
We role play, we train.
How is role playing uncomfortable for you?
Yeah.
Is it? Is it uncomfortable for you?
No.
Nope.
What about whenever you're on the phone and John comes over? Does that make you uncomfortable?
No.
Does it you? Does it you?
Yeah.
What about when you're on the phone and I'm just sitting there looking at you?
Yeah.
Does that make you uncomfortable?
Yes.
Well, here's the purpose of the role play, the drill, and the rehearse. Whenever your brain gets stressed, whenever you call somebody, we do a lot of cold calls. As a matter of fact, our target is about 400 cold calls a day. When we call these people, the moment they answer, until you're trained, your brain gets stressed. Like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? There's some anxiety. There's a little worry there. And when that happens to your brain, what it does is you're going to fall to the level in which you have trained it. So teams, for example, let's say if they have 10 games, for the most part, probably 7 out of 8 times, they're probably going to practice in line with how they play. They're going to play in line with how they practiced. Would y'all agree with that? Mm-hmm. Now, then there's these outlier possibilities. Maybe one of the 10, we severely underperform. We just had a bad day. No breaks, nothing went our way. One day we might outperform that level, but the consistent is going to be about 75 to 80% of the time. You're going to perform like you've been practicing, like the way you put your brain through that week or that day. So it's extremely important to drill, role play, rehearse, because whatever you learn, whatever you read, whatever you hear, it will be forgotten. I don't know how many times I've sat up here with you guys and I've told you something and I don't even remember what I told you. And it was good stuff.
So would you say, like, how it makes me feel uncomfortable? I kind of think of it as, like, almost like having stage fright. Would that be like...
Say that again.
Like, it's almost like stage fright.
Yeah.
That's where it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, but what? Okay, there's 3 invisible assets we build every single day, and the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. What is the one thing she's built when she does it?
Courage.
Courage.
You gotta
And-
get dialed in whenever somebody's watching.
Like, I know I see myself, like, working towards that where, you know,
Are you a more courageous person today or last November?
I would say I'm more courageous now.
Yeah, because it's a muscle. And whenever you're scared to do something, that means it's time to do something. It's time to do that something. So, as you get better at role play, your phone calls will improve. Your sales will improve. Everything gets better. They probably wouldn't have liked role playing at first. Did it bother you to role play at first, or did you care?
Yes, it was very uncomfortable.
So what I try to do is simulate it to make it uncomfortable. What will I tell y'all to do? See, y'all get too damn sloppy with it.
Get close.
I want y'all to get right up nose to nose, almost get in each other's face, because that's uncomfortable. Phone calls, those situations are uncomfortable. I'm trying to teach your brain to settle down, to calm down, not to panic. But these are things, these are muscles, these are behaviors, these are habits that need to be built every single day. If you're somebody and you don't have other people in there, what I would tell you to do, and this is weird. Come over here, Josh. This is uncomfortable. This is weird. I want you to get 2 inches from the wall.
Facing you or facing the wall?
Just face the wall. Get right up there. Now I want you to do your greeting.
Hi, this is Josh with John Jones Real Estate. How are you today?
Is that weird?
Yes.
It's very weird. Could you do that?
Go back in that corner.
Go back into that corner.
I feel like a kid again.
Say what?
He's in timeout.
I feel like a kid. That's what my mom used to make me do.
Well, no, you're over there and you're saying this. It's very uncomfortable.
You may do it again.
Yeah, do it again. And maybe you could even record yourself. I know this is goofy, but this is what Cardone used to do. He would tell people to do is stand up against the wall and role play with themselves or record themselves. That's very awkward. But whenever you're in an awkward position, your brain is distracted. How often can you be on a phone call today, Fayho, and get distracted and just keep calling?
A lot.
So if you're on an airplane, who in here hates to fly? I don't love to fly.
Not a big fly.
I don't like it. But man, those pilots are like, have you ever seen them when they had to do an emergency landing and you're listening to their voice?
They're scared too.
No, they're calm.
Calm as hell.
We are about to crash.
Hey, Mayday. Hello. Hey, well, we're dropping fast. Maybe we can do this. I mean, they're so calm. Whenever I go back in there and yell at Josh, he could be on the phone, and it's like he doesn't get distracted anymore. I get right up in his face. Do you know I get up in your face? Sometimes you're on the call. I'm forcing you to grow.
You ever seen Flight?
What did she say here?
Flight with Denzel Washington?
I turned into this video at how is role playing for you uncomfortable? Totally have a middle school sense of humor. Just saying. How is role playing uncomfortable? We've got to make it uncomfortable. Is that what she's saying?
No.
What was she saying? Oh, I can't see.
Different role play.
Huh?
Different kind of role play.
Oh, I got you. Role play rehearsing sales. Yes, sir, definitely. I got you. Okay. Wasn't paying attention. Number 4, here's where you will see the biggest results in your sales game, okay? It's when you start coaching other people. Whenever you start, like, making sure every single day. What time do we role play?
9 o'clock.
I've moved it up on y'all.
9:15.
I've created more time. What time?
9:15.
No. What time do we role play?
9:30.
9:30.
9:05.
I thought we role play. I guess at 9 o'clock. I'll talk from 8:45 to 9. Who always has to say let's role play?
You.
Who has to keep coming in here and say, hey, quit dicking off, let's role play?
You do.
Because nobody's kind of stepping up and taking on that role. I want somebody to do that. But then I come in here and one person's looking over here and y'all are over here and y'all talking about stuff. It's just very unfocused. Okay? But if somebody can come in here and take that over, that person that's willing to come in here and confront that and say, look, we got to get more organized and here's how we're going to do it, that person will significantly start to outperform somebody else. Coaching is when you really start to get to another level. Whenever you coach, you got to bring attention, awareness, thought. You got to study a little bit more. You got to be more assertive. You got to be more certain. And that carries over to when you're in the marketplace. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you're in here in role play and you're not like certain, if you're not focused when you get out into a house or you're with people, your brain's not as used to it. It's a little bit different. Are you going to be as good? If we believe 75 to 80% of the time, the way you perform is the way you practice. What happens to a team or a company or an individual that does not role play?
They suffer in the marketplace.
That's right. Whenever you go up against that person, if they don't do that, then they meet you. You're gonna that the consumer will always. They're like if I was in the dark and no lights were on and a light came on, what would I do?
Go towards it.
What do you mean? Go towards it.
Walk towards the light.
Would I walk towards it? What if I'm sitting down?
Look at it.
You'd look at it. Why?
Because it shines.
My brain told me to do that, and that's why it gets kind of bright up here, and it's hard to see y'all. But that's what happens whenever I talk to a certain person. So, like when Brad Lee comes in here and he talks, his certainty, just get your attention and get your focus. Number 5, here is where the magic starts to happen. 4 and 5, you create more magic. Whenever you really know something, whenever you've gotten a good attitude, you've gotten the information down, you've drilled and rehearsed it, you're really getting your swag on, you're even starting to coach people around you, it's a lot easier to do more action. It's a lot easier to call more people. It's a lot easier to put yourself in a situation where maybe I'll get a little rejected. Maybe I won't do this, or maybe this is a bad idea. But you're much more willing to confront that and do it anyway whenever you've got these skills. But you agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself doing that?
Yes.
So sales are made when nobody is watching. Order taking could happen anytime, but you guys are learning how to prospect, to get in front of people, to get them to look at houses, to get them to make offers, to getting them to close. It's been a step-by-step process I see happening. Do you see it happening, Andre? Do you, Noah?
Yeah.
As you start out, here's what I've seen. You start out, you're not even very good at getting people to give you 30 seconds. It's a progression. Not good at getting 30 seconds. Then you get 30 seconds. And then you get a few questions. Then you're starting to improve when you're out in front of people. Then they start making offers. Then you start winning offers. And then you're starting to feel like you're a magician. No matter what, hey, I'm going to make this happen. Do we have any questions?
Then you get rich.
Do you have any questions? Do you, Larima? And I can always count on you for questions. Whenever there's no questions, that's an indicator people are bored and it's time to go.
So how long do you feel like
Larima
say
always has a
someone-
question.
someone who, doesn't have that stuff but wants to build all those stuff?
How long does it take?
Yeah, that you feel like you could see.
I really think it takes 3 years. That's the number I keep going back to. But you start to see significant improvement in year 2. Year 2, I think, is when things start to change for you. I think year 2, you start to get lucky. When you're good, you're more likely to get lucky. Year 1's hard because you're still trying to get those foundations right. You still probably have some disagreements with some of these things. And whenever you're disagreeable with things, you're not as likely to do it. But you got disagreements because you haven't been here long. You haven't been exposed to this. Your way of knowing things. See, information could be good or bad. You could believe your information, but it could be the wrong information. And it's more likely you'll trust your own information as opposed to my information. How quickly will one come here and yield to what I'm teaching them? How, like in the past, we've had people work here and they didn't adapt to my information. They didn't adapt to my attitude.
It rejected everything.
Well, they would just say, "Well, I wouldn't do that," or "That ain't gonna work." But those people, I know who they are. They haven't really made significant improvements in their life. They're still just kind of treading water. And these aren't my ideas. I've gone out and spent a lot of money to learn this stuff. I've adapted his philosophies. That's what I've done. So I think year 1 is a blur. I think year 1, you're learning and you're getting things right. I think year 2, it's becoming a little easier. And I think going into year 3, you start to flourish. That's the way you should be thinking. And if you think year 2, like, I don't want you to think you've made it into year 2, because if you feel like year 2 is you've made it, you ain't thinking big enough. A lot of people in Drew's situation can be saying, "No, I'm good. I ain't got to do nothing else." But hey, how often do I ask Drew how's his calls looking?
6 times a day.
6 times a day.
Probably more.
Yeah. Hey, how them calls looking, buddy? Now, once I feel like you don't want any more, I'd be like, "Well, hey, let's just move on to somebody else." That's all he wants to do. Because I don't want to force you to do something that you don't want for yourself. That ain't going to work. I don't ask Stevie, "Hey, how many calls have you made?" Have you ever heard me ask Stevie that?
I asked him that the other day.
I don't ask Steven, Shawan. I don't ask, because they're on just a different level. But I don't ask Ashley. I don't ask Cowboy. I don't ask Moon Guy.
Kind
kindly stay out of my business, out of my bizwax? Would you kindly mind your own business? But I'm asking the people that I sense that want more. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? How's it going? Did you get that deal? It's falling apart. Blah, blah. I'm getting information. I'm getting engaged in your life. So, good question, Lorena. Has anybody else got any other questions? Hey, people showing up here on Saturday. There ain't any other companies that are showing up on Saturdays to do this, building information, drilling, rehearsing, getting their attitude right. But here's what will happen to you, and I'm going to end on this, Van. When you're doing these things right here, you'll start to believe deep down, I deserve more. I deserve more. Like, I was talking to Van back there. Do y'all know Van in the back? What are you doing back? Van, are you still watching that Playboy or looking at that Playboy?
Yeah.
I was thinking about, like, if somebody wanted to come and shadow us, what is that really worth?
I feel like that could help
At least
somebody out.
$5,000.
A lot.
To come in here, an agent, and
It's about to show you how to multiply.
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what they could learn by just coming in here. Hey, thank you, Eric, for getting on here. Think about it like they're coming here. Well, if I didn't believe it was worth, you said $5,000. I don't think it's worth $5,000
Is this for a day, a week?
a day.
Well, one deal could be $5,000.
Well, it depends on. The more I think of myself, the more I'll demand for the price, and the more likely I'll get it.
You feel like you can help somebody get one deal?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I feel like I could help somebody shortcut building their business. I feel like it. That doesn't mean they'll adapt and do the strategy.
I feel like it's a lot. Worth a lot.
I mean, like you guys, y'all didn't hit your, like, I'm teaching Larima. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I'm trying to lean into Larima to get y'all on the calls. And she's probably uncomfortable doing that.
Bless her heart. The other day she said she was going to get fired.
Bless her heart. Hey, well, remember when Van came, guys, damn it, he's going to stay on my ass if y'all don't.
Yeah.
He did the chicken shit way. God, just do it for me. I don't want to get yelled at. But yesterday, look, I was lax and I didn't go to her much, and her calls were down. Man, you got to stay on people because it's a reminder. It's also when I call you and say, how's your calls going? It's not just to bitch at you. It's also to encourage you, because it ain't no fun making all those calls. Hey, I'm here with you. Hey, I'm watching. I believe in you, buddy. But I believe now, I told Van, hell, $500. But now it ain't worth $500 for me to have to do that all day. Drew said $5,000. Eric says I'm helping him with agriculture sales. Thank you, buddy.
$5,000.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Cough it up.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that number is, but I know if somebody were to come in here, based off what I've learned, because the guy that I've learned it was not he's not really a specialist in one area. But I think if they were to come in, what is it really worth for me to give all my attention to that guy versus all my attention to you guys?
Oh,
$1,000?
more.
Well, when Brad Lee was sitting in here the other day, it probably wasn't worth that much, but how much was it really worth? 20 grand?
Hell,
25
we
grand?
talked in the back. We're like,
10K?
yeah, probably 10 grand.
No, it's worth more than 10 grand.
Yeah.
He gets paid 50 grand to go speak for an hour in front of people where you can't sit and ask him questions.
Someone paid him $100,000.
Yeah, but that was for a year. But to have that guy sitting here, it was at least worth 25 grand. All right, then, Grafton, let's shut it down. So here's what I would tell you. You better find something that you believe in, that you adopt to, that you can consistently perform, that you can know, that you can coach, that you can teach. You can hold yourself accountable. Everybody have a great weekend. Where are you going so quick, Drew?